Time for another installment of The Basics, and on today's show, in sticking with the Star Trek CCG, I want to talk about Cardassian strategy for when you're building a deck with said affiliation. So, without any further ado, let's get started, shall we? Now, in terms of the Star Trek CCG, the Cardassians are a very interesting affiliation to build a deck around. They could be as, how do I say this, exploratory as the Federation. You could build a pure points-winning deck with Cardassians. They have the necessary skills in their personnel, and their ships are quite good. You can turn them into a battle-hardened deck, like the Klingons or the Romulans. Or, in my case, with my Cardassian deck, you can make them ruthless, cold-blooded killers, which I have done. Starting with the dilemmas, the majority of dilemmas in this deck kill my opponent's personnel, whether on a planet or on their ship. Yes, I do have a few dilemmas that target the ships and maybe stop a personnel, but most of them in here are designed to kill. I want those personnel dead. That sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Missions are a mix between any crew may attempt and specifically Cardassian missions. It actually works out quite well, and I do have one mission from the Badlands in there that's strictly Cardassian. A wide range of doorways, just to show you a few that are very useful to this deck, and the space-time continuum door and the alternate universe door come in very handy with some of the personnel I have. I have a wide range of personnel, but a lot of them are Obsidian Order and or treachery, leadership, honor-heavy, navigation, engineers, things like that, science. I have two different versions of Garrick. I have Elim Garrick and dual affiliation Garrick with the AU icon, which is why I have those doorways. That leads me to ships. Cardassians have some of the best ships in the game, and I've chosen in this deck to go all in with the Keldon. I used two Keldon Universal ships, and I used one Keldon Advanced Universal ship, mainly because it has a cloaking device. Problem with the Keldon Advanced is, if you're not familiar with it, all ship attributes are -3 unless Obsidian Order in crew, which is not a problem for my deck. And remember, this is only a handful of the personnel cards I have in this deck. I also have a few non-aligned personnel that work well with this deck. Furthermore, I have a tri-affiliation personnel in this deck, which is Kira. Her skills, leadership, resistance, extra security, navigation, honor ×2, and a command level icon come in very handy. And strength 8 plus X. X equals 3 plus Dominion. So if I'm facing someone with Dominion, that strength becomes 11. Very useful on away missions. Now, the one thing I do differently with this deck, I do not have a side deck here. It is not set up for a side deck. I could, but I do not use one here. And also, where other decks I would use affiliation-centric equipment, I do not use hardly any Cardassian equipment in this deck, but my mainstay is the Echo Papa 607 killer drone. Used during away team or rogue Borg battles. First time used in battle, strength equals 10. Next time used in a separate battle, strength equals 20, etc., etc. I keep between 3 and 5 of these in a deck, especially this deck. You can understand how devastating that will be to my opponent, who probably won't expect it, because not a lot of people use the Echo Papa 607 killer drone anymore. Why, I don't know, but in a Cardassian deck, it works very well. Now, that being said, in this latest incarnation of my Cardassian deck, I have opted to not use any stations like Nor or Terok Nor and or the site cards. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, they do slow the game down. And this deck is built on an onslaught and to work quickly, to get me where I need to go in a hurry. And you don't really want to be slowed down by sites and stations and having to put them places and waiting for all that to happen. That's why this is a quick and efficient, ruthless Cardassian deck. Have a great day, everybody.